Probably easier, I reckon. Everyone stand up. And gather round. Doesn't matter. Go. Doesn't matter. Take a pick. No. Just do the other one. Is there one on both? Oh, do the anklet one. That's fine. Just take. Can you take it off?
Yeah.
Can everyone see? Yes. Yes. Thank you. Someone.
Every Sunday. Free game.
So what I was saying before about positioning, if I had a bed that was plugged in right now, she'd be higher. This is Carissa, by the way. She was meant to run the course. Again, you might not do this for everyone. If I've got enough time, I'll do it on as many people as possible. What I'll generally do is somewhere around the anchor, which is going to be the first bit. It's usually harsher on the skin because it goes all the way around. And then I'll also normally do a small square there, because what you'll see in a minute, kind of see on there, over that front part of the ankle where all the tape crosses over, that can dig in there as well. Some people will also get a longer one and do it up the back of the Achilles. I don't do that routinely, but some people will come in saying, I've had my ankle strap for years, it always digs in, I get blisters at the back or whatever. So you can take your pick. So again, you might not have access to this stuff, you might not have time for this stuff. Again, if that sticks on itself, you start again, so it'll curl up like that. So I find that folding it flattens it out, and it doesn't do that. So the other thing with the anchors, a lot of people will try and be super straight with their anchors. And obviously most legs are going to come in, taper in like that. So it depends on the shape of the body, shape of the leg, size of the calf. If somebody's super straight like that, you probably can get a really nice, straight, flat anchor, and it'll sit really nicely. If I do it with this straight, it's going to wrinkle, it's not going to meet up, it's going to not sit nicely. So the priority is for the tape to sit nicely, even if it ends up crossing at the front like that. That's going to sit and hold on a lot better compared to if it's straight and it looks pretty on the top line, but it's wrinkled and it's not sticking well. All right. So instead of going straight across, I'm going to have a slight angle on it. And it's going to sit a bit nicer than it would have normally. All right. So I could have angled that even more because that's still crinkled a little bit. All right. So I could have really gotten that cross at the front, but that's sitting nice and flat. The rigid's going to follow the same angle. Then the other one's going to go up the front of the ankle. So you guys don't have to practice this. It's just cut and stick. So the other sort of message for the whole night, I guess, is that it doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you guys aren't a physio or a sports trainer or whatever. Yours does. You'll see with mine. Good. I'll critique him. 4 out of 10. Yeah. Quit now. No. No. So, welcome to Live 3. Basically, you'll find, especially around ankles and even knees to a certain degree, because they're fiddly areas, there's lots of bony landmarks, prominences or whatever, and there's certain ones where you've got to get more angle on them, you've got to twist around a landmark or whatever. It's not as simple as just doing tape straight from there to there, so you're going to get some little wrinkles and stuff as well. As long as it's doing the job, that's the main thing. So which way do 90% of ankles sprain? Which way? Yep. What's out and what's in? So so that way, half people call that out, half people call that in. So the ankle's going out, the foot's going in. We call it inversion sprain. That's inversion. You should just start asking them these days. Just run the course. Why am I here? So basically what you're trying to prevent most of the time is that, but you will have who knows someone who's had a high ankle sprain, syndesmosis, any of that sort of stuff. Yep. So obviously, well, not obviously, they generally will sprain out. They're less common, but they're more severe. So that one, you're going to bias your tape differently. So the two strappings for the different sides might look different. Might look the same, but where you pull tension is going to be different as well.
What if you do both?
Then strap the Jesus out of it. Or look in our rehab program. I'm picky. I make sure the foot's not too gross. Like that. So yeah, so the main thing positioning wise, again, for you, you want to be wherever's comfortable. If I'm standing and I'm like this and I'm doing 20 ankles, I'm not having a good time. For their positioning, you want enough of their foot off whatever they're on, so you can get up to there and get in around behind, and then you want their foot neutral, all right? So some people will, halfway through the strapping, they'll end up like that, and then you've got to realize, so if you're strapping like that and you've got really good tension, as soon as they go to move, there's not enough tension, it's still going to move like that. So you want them as neutral as possible. Some people, when they're super mobile, they'll pull up too far, and you've got to actually help them find where 90 degrees is, all right? So again, the anchor's going to go up the top. All right, I'll follow that same angle because that's going to sit a lot flatter compared to me going straight for this sort of body shape as well. So again, 90% of ankle sprains are going to go inways. So we're wanting to hold it that way. All right, so stirrups are the ones that go from inside to outside. They look like a horseshoe. If I'm doing it for a inversion sprain, the common one, I'm going to start on the inside. And I'm going to start towards the back as well. All right, so I'm going to make sure that all of these strips start on the anchor and finish on the anchor, so they've got something to hold on to. That's going to pull around and up. I can tear the tape off, and then my tension is going to be on the outside, and then I can lay it down flat. All right, so if the tension's on the outside, it's going to stop that. All right, if it's the opposite, you're going to do the opposite and tension it up on the inside. All right. In terms of how solidly you're going to strap somebody, you can do 1 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, 5 of these, 10 of these. All right. Usually for me, I'll do 2 as standard, 3 to 4 for either a big boy or a solid sprain. All right. So again, I'm pulling up the tension, I'm laying it down. Doesn't matter if it's not right on there as I'm laying down the tension, and then I can use my palm. So the more I use the broadness of my palm, the flatter it's going to sit. If I'm trying to push it down like that, you'll be there all day. All right. So you want it to sit nicely. How do you do your 6s? Pressure on the ball. Yeah, okay. All right. So personal preference for me, and I know most physios, so figure 6 is the next one, right? So basically you're going to have it down one side, but then it's going to come up across the front like a 6. All right. My personal preference is that I do what's called a reverse 6, and you guys can take your pick or try both or whatever. I like to start and go across the front first because I feel like you can decide the angle and set the angle well that way, and then it will always come up straight, usually. All right. So if I go down, it's a lot harder to know where to have that set for it to then angle up. Otherwise, it just becomes another stirrup. If I go across and I know that's where I want it to finish, I can have that set, I can follow that around, and it's going to be in the right spot every time. So I feel like that's the way that everyone should do it. Your choice. All right. So normally I'll do one that way, one the other way. So again, you want to get that angle. It's going to go across the front, round and underneath, back up to the inside. And this is where you'll find the tearing, even if you found it easy before, when it's on a body and you're trying to hold it and not crinkle it and do all that sort of stuff, it becomes harder. Who's done a heel lock? Okay. Wow. See you then. All right, so figure 6s, the difference between a 6 and a heel lock, the 6 is going to be a little bit more vertical, and it's going to come down in front of the heel. So it's going to go under the foot first. A heel lock, you're going to have a little bit more angle on it, and it's going to go above the heel, so it's actually going to go across the Achilles. This will seem a little bit confusing, but it's going to basically go around the heel and back up to the same side. The way I look at it, instead of worrying about where it should be going, if you get that first angle right, if I go, yep, that's above the heel. If I go too high, it's just going to wrap around. If I go too low, it's just going to hit the heel. If I go just above, it's going to go there. And then I'm basically following the tape. So it's going around, under the heel, up through that way, and back to the same side that it started. All right. So that's a heel lock one way. And then you go the other way. All right. So I've hit that angle. I'm now going to do this one. It's going to go above the heel. It's going to be a little bit more angled, not too vertical. I'm going to go there. Locks the heel. So the rest of the ankle, most of the support is a little bit further down the foot. So the 6s kind of hold the a little bit more towards what we call the midfoot, whereas this will stop. So hang on, let me do this one. So if this is going to go around, again, follow it. This is the one with the most angle. So sometimes you need to sort of encourage the tape a little bit. So you notice if anyone's down this way, there's that little bit of a wrinkle as soon as I try to move it. So I can actually get a little bit of a pinch one side and tension, and it'll sit a bit flatter. So the heel lock basically locks around that part of the heel, whereas the rest of it is more from there. So sometimes if you only do sixes without a heel lock, it might stop a sprain from here, but you might roll from the heel back that way. And then from there, you're just going to lock off. So you're going to do that top strip again. Get that angle on it again. If you want it to look pretty, if you're running a course, you do another one to cover up any of the wrinkles. Questions? Yeah, so it's a bit to remember.